DC celebrated two of its most prominent members of the Jewish community during a gala in Northwest DC. The event brought out DC Mayor Muriel and Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who kicked off his re-election campaign last week. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good to see you as always. I'm Larry Miller. Well, that event brought out both leaders who took a moment to push back against some of the rhetoric coming from the federal administration. Our Lionel Donovan has that story.
Sunday's event was Governor Moore's third event over the weekend. On Saturday, he was in Annapolis for an annual picnic with union leaders. Later in the evening, he traveled to D.C. to deliver the keynote speech at the Human Rights Campaign National Dinner. At Sunday's event, both he and Mayor Bowser called on attendees to remember that D.C.'s communities aren't defined by what's said in the White House or on Capitol Hill. Jewish community members gathered at the French Embassy Sunday for a gala to honor Esther Safran Foer and David M. Rubenstein. D.C. Mayor Muriel congratulated Foer and Rubenstein for the honor and highlighted the Capitol Jewish Museum, who hosted the gala.
It challenges each of us to consider our own place in history.
The event was one of the first in D.C. since President Donald Trump's federal surge of law enforcement in the city officially ended September 10th. Although Bowser says she'll continue to work with federal authorities to address crime, she called on attendees to remember that D.C. is bigger than its problems.
You know that the real D.C. is 700,000 people that actually live here, go to work, raise their families, in our tax-paying Americans.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore was also in attendance. Moore, who's been a vocal critic of the Trump administration, expressed support for Mayor Bowser's leadership. For months, President Trump and Governor Moore have sparred on issues such as crime and the National Guard in D.C. Trump has even threatened to send the National Guard into Baltimore, a city he described as a, quote, hellhole. However, Moore also says in his eyes, the people of D.C. aren't defined by the words of the White House.
I think it's always important to remember that, that the people of D.C. are different from Washington. That in Maryland, we are sometimes challenged by some of the decisions that are coming out of Washington, but we still love our D.C. folks.
Now, like I said, although the federal emergency is officially over, National Guard troops will remain in Washington through December. From the studio, Lionel Donovan, WUSA 9.